He's a man who wanted to publish a magazine for women.
He had this vision of creating a magazine that accentuated women of color and promoted all of their many accomplishments.
He had the same entrepreneurial spirit that Henry Luce had. He started a magazine because he knew it was the right thing to do and he knew that there was a need for it.
Ed wanted to achieve something that in the end would help people on a massive scale.
Dignity, integrity, honor, all those words mean things to him.
When Martin Luther King was dealing with issues in Montgomery and Birmingham, we were dealing with some choices about whether or not we should be part of what he was doing in Atlanta.
For Ed, for a number of people, including myself, business became the civil rights battlefield.
We knew where we could add the most value to the struggle that was going on in this country, and that's why we chose to go into the business arena.
This was not long after the assassination of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy. Civil rights was on the streets. And that was the environment that Essence got published in. In that environment, it was not easy.
They were producing this gorgeous magazine, and nobody wanted to give it the shelf space. At that time, they couldn't get their magazines anywhere.
At one point, when we were starting, there was an issue even as to whether or not a client using black-oriented advertising would actually affect their sales to white people. In other words, they were afraid, they thought that it might be good business in order to reach the black consumer market, but there was a question as to how would white people feel if they saw their brand was being advertised to blacks. I mean, this was not in the 1960s, this was 1970. So these are the kinds of things that we basically all had to deal with.
It's actually, when you know Ed, it's not surprising that he started Essence. It's not about him, it's about the idea. He speaks about the women, the matriarchs in his life, his mother, his aunts, and when you are so grateful for the shoulders that you stand on, then, there's a desire to pay that forward.
He gave black women a voice at a time where they didn't have kind of a national presence. It's just incredible when you think back that he and the other founders had this vision to create this product that would be so influential.
He gave black women a sense of themselves, a shot at self-actualization. And by giving them that, they were able to give the world more.
When Essence first started, there were a number of years in which they struggled. And struggling meant that, he had to hold that ship together and not fall prey to some of the easy answers.
He could have gone back into Citibank. He could have joined an investment banking firm. He could have done anything, but he was committed to the concept of Essence.
Were there milestones? Sure. But the number one milestone, survival. Publishing the next issue. And then finally, of course, it became very successful.
He's the guy who gets it done. Take a look at the record.
When I handed Ed Lewis the business plan for Latina some 14 years ago now, the remarkable thing was that on a personal level, he understood the importance of the vision of providing women of color a place where they could celebrate their successes and showcase their beauty and tell their stories. And he understood that both as a businessman and as a cultural leader.
After Hurricane Katrina, he was quite adamant that Essence had an obligation to return to the city to continue to produce the Essence Music Festival because it's a big economic boost for the city.
He is always looking to make a positive impact on the lives of people and the community and children in need, and that drives him.
Ed is the chairman of the board, and he brings a great deal of passion and credibility. Harlem Village Academies educates kids in Harlem who are from the lowest income neighborhood in America. Last year, we were ranked #1 in 8th grade math in New York State. It was the first time ever in the history of Harlem that 100% of kids had passed the math test.
Ed travels in a wide variety of circles, and everywhere he went, he talked up President Obama. And so it's very meaningful when someone like Ed Lewis calls you and says, this is someone who I want you to support. I want you to get out there and I want you to volunteer. I want you to dig deep until it hurts and get involved. So he had a tremendous impact on the campaign.
He has set an example for all of us to follow.
Ed is one of the most appropriate recipients of a Lifetime Achievement Award. He essentially devoted his life to the creation and growth of what is now one of the most important magazines in America. And that achievement took him a lifetime.
And there are millions of women out there who have a little extra lift in their step because Essence magazine touched their lives.
He will definitely have a reputation as one of the most successful African-American businessmen of all time in America. But his success transcends the African-American business segment.
If not Ed, who? That would be my answer. I can't imagine you got a better one.
Ed, you're being honored because more is expected of you. And the sweet thing about it is, we know we're going to get it.